Hi, my name is Monica Sanseri. This is my persuasive speech for Comm 101. My persuasive speech is on the decision between homeschooling and public education. In my opinion, I believe that public education is more beneficial to our children than homeschooling, and that's for several reasons. Some of them being that they're tuition free, they have a variety of, or public education has a variety of different courses and clubs than homeschooling offers. It also exposes our children to diversity as well as teaches our children regular socialization skills. So, I want to point out that the children of the next generation have a huge responsibility. How we raise them affects their social relations as well as their work ethics. And we have to realize that our kids will soon be where we are, and it's our responsibility to ensure that they're capable of taking on our roles. And the decision starts and from the very beginning when we start teaching them. And it's from the very beginning when we decide to put them in public education or whether we decide to homeschool them. So we need to realize that every child is affected by this decision. It's something that we really should think about, and because it's the beginning of the shaping of their lives. So, my points that I'm going to be talking about today, first, I'm going to discuss the cost efficiency of putting your child in public education. Then, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the variety of different classes and activities available for children in public education. Then I'm going to talk about the diversity of children that our children are surrounded by in public education and why that's important. And last, I'm going to talk about the socialization skills that they learn in public education and why that's important. Okay, so let's first start with cost efficiency. I'm starting out this point with a quote. It's from Cassandra. It was an article she wrote on the web in 2012 about the compare and contrast between homeschool and public education. She says, and I quote, "It doesn't take money to provide a good learning experience. Research has shown that just because more money is given to the educational system in this country doesn't mean the results are better." So, what I got out of this is that just because a school is receiving more money doesn't mean that your child's going to learn more. Um, just because our teachers are being paid more doesn't change the way that your children learn and what they're learning. So, public education is filled with so many teachers that love and care about the students, not the money. And something that I was really interested in when I started doing my research on this is how much does it really cost to homeschool a child, right? So I found a newspaper article about the cost of homeschool. David Zizo wrote this. He states somewhere between, and I quote, somewhere between $14,000 and $60,000 a year or more. That's what homeschooling can cost, depending on how you look at it. Unquote. So to me, it's like, why do we pay for the same education? Why would you do that? What's the point of that? When you can put them in a public education and have them surrounded by teachers that love and care about them, not the money, rather than paying all this money for your child to learn the same things. Public schools are cost efficient and are most definitely effective. Okay, so next I'm going to move on to a variety of classes and activities that are available for your student in public education. Um, so first things first, if you've ever dealt with public education, you'll know that there are a plethora of classes that your child can choose from, especially once they get into high school because they're able to pick their own electives. And picking your own electives and picking your own classes is a way to express our children to express their own personalities. And not only do we have all these classes that they can pick from, they can also join clubs and do after school activities, right? And public education makes it available to our children. And it's a fun way for our kids to learn leadership and teamwork skills in a way that's something that they're interested in. And I also want to point out that homeschooled students are available to participate in these after school programs in their local public school. But if the student's already there, already going to that school, already know students at that school that are going to be in those clubs as well, they're way more likely to participate in those clubs than a student from outside is. So public education is a great way to teach our kids leadership and teamwork skills just because they're able to make those decisions for themselves and express their personalities. So next I'm going to talk about the diversity of children in public schools. So public education, it means just that. It's public. That means it offers an opportunity for everyone in the entire public to enroll. That's awesome because it creates a diversity pool, like I like to call it. A diversity pool is where you have all these different cultures and all these different ethnicities and religions, and they all come together and they pool up like a pool. That's why I call it a diversity pool, because they pool up and then they teach each other things, right? They all teach each other things about their own religion and their own differences, right? So some parents say, well, why is it important for my kid to be surrounded by diversity? What's the point? Why is that important? My answer would be that in today's society, we as adults are constantly surrounded by diversity. Every single family is born into a different set of morals and different backgrounds, some good and some bad. But it's essential that our children learn how to adapt to these different diversities and these different backgrounds effectively so that they're able to make relationships with all different kinds of people. And it's an important part of being successful in life to be able to do that, especially in the workforce. So, public education is a great way to get our students and our children a foot in the door for learning how to create or how to handle those different situations, which is really important. So, last but not least, I'm going to talk about the socialization skills that we learn in public education. Um, Socialization is probably the most important part of being successful in all of our lives' journeys. Um, I like to think that by putting our kids in public education, we're giving them an opportunity to learn how to be successful so it's not so hard later. And I think that homeschooled students are deprived of regular socialization, and this leaves a long term impact on our kids. If children aren't put in situations where they need to learn how to make friends, how are they supposed to know how to make friends? Um, there was a study done by a couple of guys, and it's about the test results of students that were homeschooled. And this is a quote from their article online. It says, of the 598 responding, only 18% supported homeschooling. They judged homeschooled children to perform at an average or below average level on standardized tests and regarded them to be less mature than their peers. Unquote. So, according to these specific results, what I gather from that is that children are doing less, they're doing worse on regular tests, but they also says that they're less mature. And I think it's really safe to assume that they're less mature because they're not around, they don't have to be social. They are lacking socialization in their lives. And public education teaches our children the basic socialization skills, just talking, making friends, communicating our wants and needs. And even self confidence is built there, which these are all very important parts of being successful. And when a child is in public school, they're forced to build self confidence. Self confidence is so important. And they're forced to build that self confidence so that they can build relationships and make friends. But all of these things are basic skills that they're learning, but they're imperative to being successful in the real world. What is the real world? Well, the real world is what's outside of their comfort zone. What's outside of mom and dad? What's outside of school? What's outside of all of that? I like to look at it as mother birds and their children and their little baby birds, right? They have their babies, they feed them, they nurture them, they take care of them, then they teach them how to fly. They push them off the edge a couple of times, right, to get them to fly. But once they know how to fly, they fly away one day. But you know why they fly away? because we taught them to fly away, right? It's up to us to teach our kids. And it starts from the very beginning when you decide where to put your kid, where they're going to be most effective learning these skills. And public education is a great way to learn socialization skills so that they can be successful in life. So, all in all, in conclusion, I covered that public education is cost efficient and most definitely effective. There are a plethora of classes and activities for our children right at their fingertips to choose from. And exposing your children to diversity is important, really important, and public education makes that easy for us. And public education also teaches our kids the socialization skills to help make them successful in life. But all of these things that I've talked about today, all of it all put together, says that public education is the most effective way to ensure success in your child's education and basically throughout their entire life. So, this is an important decision. It really is. It's an important decision and it's something to really give thought to. And both sides, not just the public education side, really dig into the homeschooling side too and make a decision that way. But public education is really effective and it's important for our kids to learn all of these things. So, having that said, I hope I helped you make a decision, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.